All right. So this section, this is chapter 12.6, is kind of a pain. I'm not going to lie to you. And it's mostly because of this. But once you get it, you get it. That's basically how it works. So we would go from the smallest unit, which is right here, all right, to the largest unit, which is right here. Okay? So the millimeter is the smallest and the meter is the largest. And every time you do times 10, you get a little bigger. Times 10, a little bigger. Times 10, a little bigger. That's basically how that's going to work. Now, so you might see something like this. We have a millimeter times 10 is a centimeter. So imagine a millimeter is like that, and a centimeter is just 10 of those. So it would just be 10 times longer, right? Centimeter is one of these. This whole thing is a centimeter, right? And then 10 of those would become a decimeter. And then 10 decimeters, which is 1 decimeter, is going to be 10 times as long. 1 decimeter times 10 is going to be 1 meter, which is going to be 10 times as long as that. So essentially, it's just getting larger and larger as we go, which is pretty simple to understand, but kind of hard to see in your head. So this is the smallest, all right? And this one is the biggest. 1 millimeter times what makes 1 meter? Well, 1 millimeter times 10 makes 1 centimeter. All right? But that's not a meter. Then times another 10 to get from centimeter to decimeter, right? But that's still not a meter. We're still at decimeter. And then times 10 again to get to meter. So we just went from millimeter to centimeter. Okay, so we have to do times 10 times 10 times 10. Well, we're not going to write that out. So all we're going to do is do 10 times 10 times 10. So first we start with the first one, 10 times 10. And we know that 1 times 1 equals 1, with 2 zeros is 100. All right? And then we do times 10 one more time because we're still not done. 1 times 1 equals 1. And now we've got 3 zeros on the end, and we've got 1,000. All right? So 1,000 would be your answer. How do you get from millimeter to meter? Is you do 10 times 10 times 10. All right? You just multiply 1 millimeter times 1,000 because that's how small it is to get to a meter. All right? Now, this can be done for anything. How do you get from a millimeter times what equals, let's say, a decimeter. All right? How do we get from one to the other? Well, I would do millimeter times 10 is a centimeter, so that's not it. And then a centimeter times 10 is a decimeter, up, and that's where I want to go. So 10 times 10, we know, is just 100. All right? So it's 100. So all you have to do is multiply. You keep this. I'm gonna give you this. So when there is a test or when you're doing your work, you're going to have this little chart. All right? And you just have to multiply, but we can go backwards also. So we're starting with the smallest in these ones, right? But we can start with an even larger one. And let's say we start with, let's say we start with meters, right? And we want to go from meters to, let's say, centimeters, to decimeters. I'm just going to put this, whoops. Well, to go from here to here, we're no longer multiplying. To get from the biggest one to this one, we're not multiplying anymore. So let's make this as if it were numbers. This, whoops, having a little trouble here. Ooh, I don't want it to be so big. That's okay, we'll make it smaller. So decimeter times 10 would be something similar to 2 times, let's say decimeter is 2, times 10 equals 20, right? So if we wanted to then go backwards, it would become 20 divided by, where's the divided by symbol? We'll do slash. Divided by 10 equals 2. So you would have to go backwards. Instead of multiplying to get bigger, you have to divide to get smaller, all right? So I will show you exactly how to do that. Usually we do that with fractions. So if we know that 1 meter is equal to 10 decimeters, right? That means that we know that a decimeter is 1/10. So a fraction, 1 decimeter is 1/10 of a meter. Or it's 0.1 of a meter. All right? Sorry I'm so sniffly. I have very bad allergies. So, well, actually this arrow works. So, if I were to draw that out, let's say we had a box like this, right? And my box had 3, 4, 5, 6. My box had 10 parts. This is a meter. And this little section here, this little colored in section, is a decimeter right there. That means that's how small a decimeter is in comparison to the meter. So it's 1/10 the size. It's 1 out of 10. All right, that's how small it would be. Now, we could do another type. Let's try, let me move this over a little bit this way. Let's try centimeters. 1 meter is equal to 100 centimeters, right? So each centimeter I don't know why I'm spelling that wrong. There we go. Is, we would say 1 out of 100, because it's only one piece. 1 centimeter is 1 out of 100 meters, is equal to 1 over 100, or 0.01, because it's super small, meters. All right? So it's an even smaller, so if we had the box for a centimeter, this is a meter, right? And remember we split it, 10 going up and down, 10 going up and down, right? Just like before. Well, it's not 10 anymore. Now it's also 10 this way, so it's 100. It's 100 little squares. That's how small a centimeter is. And that is the centimeter. That was a decimeter, all right? So it's just an even smaller unit. So if you had 51 centimeters, where's my text box? If you had 51 this might be a question that you see. I don't know why I keep spelling centimeters wrong. How many is 51 of these centimeters? Well, it would just be 51 over 100. 51 over 100. All right? Well, what about if you use just decimeters? Decimeters, 8 decimeters, again, I can't spell it right, would be, well, we know a decimeter means over 10, so 8 over 10. Centimeters just means over 100, so 51 over 100. That's your quick and simple rule. When you see centimeters, you put over 100. Especially when of a meter is at the end. When you see decimeters and of a meter, all right, you just do over because decimeter means 10. So this would be 8 over 10. That's your quick and simple rule. Sorry that my 10 is so funky. And we're only going to be working with decimeters and centimeters today. So when you see, here's your rule. Here's your big rule that you're never going to forget. When you see this at the end, of a meter. Of a meter means fraction. So, when you see of a meter, it means fraction, okay? Let me put an equal sign there. Of a meter means fraction. See how this has of a meter right here? That means that it's going to be a fraction. Then you look at this. Centimeters, which will mean over 100. Decimeters, which will mean over 10. Centimeters, over 100. Decimeters, over 10. And then you just take whatever numbers they give you and put it 8 over 10 for decimeters, 51 over 100 for centimeters. You just take this number on the front, put it on top of whatever number this will be. That's when you see of a meter at the end, of a meter at the end. If you don't see of a meter at the end, so maybe you'll see something like this. Maybe you'll see 3 meters equals something centimeters. Now, we can already see right here that there is no of a meter. So that must mean that this is multiplication. So all you have to do for this, 3 meters. Okay, so here's the meter. Meter is really big. And centimeter is really small. Okay, so centimeter is right here. I have centimeter. I do times 10 to get to decimeter and times 10 to get to meter. So I would do, that's if we have 1 though. So I would do times 10 times 10. And we know that 10 times 10 is 100. But wait a minute, this says 3. So I actually have to do times 3. Do this number last. That number last. We're crossing them off until the end. So I did, I have to do meters to centimeters. Here's centimeter times 10. That doesn't get me to meters. Times 10. Oh, that gives me to meters. Okay. So I have to do 10 times 10. And then I remember there's a 3. So I do 3 times 100, or 3 times 10 times 10, which gives me 300. Let's do that one more time. Actually, I'm out of time on this recorder. So I'm going to post another video where I'm doing that one more time. All right? So watch the other video if you want to see that one again. Bye, guys.